Luxray Beats. Luxray Beats.
Let's get it poppin'.
Luxray Beats.
All right, how's everyone doing? It's Jerome Parker. Sorry about that delay. Had to get ready, but hope you enjoyed the instrumental in the meantime. So, today we are going to be talking about immigration and blockchain. But before we get into the nitty gritty, of course, I need to go through my whole spiel. If you haven't already, please subscribe and subscribe to this channel and share this video. Get as many people on here as possible. I would like to have a group conversation because I really want to know your guys' thoughts on what I'm going to talk about tonight. If you haven't already been to my website, head over to jeromeparker.com. You can if you follow my blog, I do coding tutorials and also do recaps of my tech talks. I also have a shop there if you want to support this stream. If you aren't following me on social media, shame on you. Follow me on Instagram, Snapchat, Twitter at MasterShake08. That is MastaShake08. Or follow my Facebook page, facebook.com/Jerome Parker. Now I know that immigration has been a big topic recently in the media. Is going to be that way until November, and then after midterm elections, we'll probably go back to not talking about it. But it's something that's been the focus of worldwide attention. how our current administration has been treating illegal immigrants coming over the border with the concentration camps, tent cities, whatever you want to call them, separating of children, followed by the Supreme Court or federal, or not Supreme Court, but a federal court ruling that the Trump administration has, what was it, like 30 days or something to reunite all these kids. They had till like July 6th, and tomorrow is July 6th. So I think only like 6 or 7 kids have been reunited with their families. It's a mess. It's a mess all the way around. But that we're not here to talk about the specifics of what's going on. All you have to do is go turn on the news station. You can go and read about the protest that went on, keep the families together protest and whatnot, what have you. Can't remember what it was called. But yeah, so I mean, all that stuff you can recap yourself on. What I want to focus on is how can technology solve this problem? For those of you who do not know, the vast majority of illegal immigrants aren't coming across the border from South America. They're coming from Asia, and they're overstaying their visas. That's the vast majority of illegal immigrants. No one wants to talk about it, but that's the truth. So how can blockchain solve the issues of immigration? So what? Undocumented immigrants, rather. I'm sorry. I shouldn't use the word illegal. Undocumented immigrants. Be more PC. How will blockchain solve the issues for undocumented immigrants? Well, for those of you who don't understand how blockchain works, it's a decentralized ledger that keeps record. You keep records in a decentralized ledger. So everyone who participates in the blockchain has a copy of the blockchain. Whenever a transaction happens on the blockchain, it is replicated across all of the nodes on the blockchain. So if there's 1,000 people who participate in the blockchain network, then that whatever data is on the blockchain is copied 1,000 times. So if one node goes down, oh well. You still have 999 people left. But how will this work? How could this help with identification and immigration? It's really solving the idea of identification, not necessarily immigration. Now imagine if all major governments issued out a cyber identification. So your social security number or what have you. We can either use existing data we have, like social security number or ID number or whatnot, or we can create a whole new system. But let's go with identification number. So in the U.S. it'd be your SSN, or if you're a business, your EIN. And everyone else is like your national ID or whatever. So when you're born, you're given this ID. It's put on the blockchain. Okay. Anybody can participate in hosting the blockchain, and also anybody can participate in the blockchain activities. So, you're born, you get an ID, and if you want, anytime you need to go to the doctor or you need to board a plane or whatnot, you're giving your blockchain your public address. And that's how people verify who you are, because you own the private keys. And, the private key, we're talking ID, it can be down to like a DNA type thing, right? So like imagine you're born, they take a sample of your blood or whatnot, and they got your genome data. And somehow out of that, they make your public and private key pair. So you don't have to remember anything. If you ever lose your private key, it's as simple as, going and getting your blood drawn, and they can extract your key pair or whatever. I'm just making stuff up off the top of my head, by the way. I don't know how this would all work. I'm just freestyling it. But the concept and however it's implemented, the concept will still be the same. So, you're born, you have your key pair. This is how you pay with things. It's your bank account. This is how you identify yourself. Like, you go to the bar instead of saying like, let me see your ID. Because you can fake an ID, right? It's like, let me scan your public address. You give them your public address or whatnot. It pulls it up. Okay, all right. This person is 21. Okay, cool. Let them on in. So everything that you do can be tied to the blockchain, and the cool thing is it's encrypted, right? Where ideally it should be encrypted. So only you can actually get the contents of your data. Like certain actions are public record, but like intimate details can be kept to yourself. Actually, Ontology actually models this. They are a cryptocurrency based on the Neo platform. Well, they're on their own mainnet now, but they use the Neo VM. They focus on identity verification. And one of their concepts is you can choose what data you give. So let's say when you do a rental application, right? They ask for your social security, they ask for like your past rental history, et cetera, et cetera. You can choose what information to give them. They have access to on the blockchain. So it could be something similar to that. Maybe Ontology might be the world identification blockchain. I would hope so. I have a big stake in it. But anyway, so how this relates to immigration. So if every major country does this, right, then there's no need for passports anymore, because the passport is the blockchain. If they cross the border, get on a plane or whatever, any point of entry where it has to be identity verification done, whether it's documented or undocumented. Well, I guess it wouldn't be undocumented, but whether they came via plane or they came across the border through illegal means or whatnot, anytime there has to be an identity verification, it's on the blockchain, so you know who that person is. You can tell their nationality. You can tell what hospital they're born at. Any and all information can be encoded on the blockchain. So, if that solves the problem for people who are open border advocates, that solves the problem, because now anybody can just go when and where as they please. And if someone needs to be checked, anybody, literally anybody, can check them. It's a trustless, decentralized system. And for people who are isolationist, if you want to, that also is a win for them, because if some countries may want to be isolationist, well, you don't need to build a physical wall. It can be a virtual wall. As people come in, like I said, you got to scan it. Like this is something, if it's matched to somebody's DNA, or their iris or something, some sort of biometric, it'll be impossible to mimic, right? So, if you don't want someone in your country, at the first point where they have to do anything, buy anything, cross a toll booth or whatever, the implications are endless of when and where those checkpoints may or may not be. But they go in, and whenever it comes across that this person is not a citizen of this country, they are not here legally, they didn't come, they're not being sponsored or whatever, then the nearest they can be held, and authorities can pick them up if that country chooses to be an isolationist country or whatnot. But in either case, whether you're for open borders or whether you're for isolation, blockchain will solve your problem. It just, the only thing that's up to you is the implementation. All right. So, how feasible is it for this to happen? Uh, Surely it would be expensive, right? Well, no, not if it's done correctly. If it's done open in an open source manner, uh, the cost to set up a blockchain is exponentially low compared to traditional startup costs. Like I said, there companies like Ontology are already doing ID verification on the blockchain. So what's probably going to happen is that governments are going to, use what's already there or contract somebody out. So I know Ontology is doing a lot of things with China and their ID platform. And another thing about China, while we're speaking about China, China has a social credit system. So like if you don't pay your bills or you don't pay back your loans, stuff like that, you won't be able to do things like buy plane and train tickets or eat at certain restaurants. So like I said, the application really it just depends on what that particular government is trying to do. But let's take what's going on with these kids and their family, right? They're being separated, and now they're talking about they're having to use DNA. They're about to resort to DNA to reunite the children with their families. Well, you wouldn't have to do that if all that was already on the blockchain now, would you? Yeah, because there could be smart contracts to handle that. The long and the short of it is that whether or not you believe that cryptocurrency is going to replace the current financial system, blockchain, the thing that powers cryptocurrency, that's not going anywhere. And the longer that it's around, the more that people are starting to realize how it can be used in areas outside of finance. So if we had a blockchain solution currently in place, then nobody would be separate. Like the reuniting process would take like all of like a week, 2 weeks. Well, it was only 2,000. I mean, I don't want to say only 2,000 people because we're still talking about people, but 2,000 people is much easier to deal with than say 20,000 or 200,000 people. How many people were displaced? Or I mean, the Syrian war is still going on. How many people have been displaced in the Syrian war thus far? There's been like over 500,000. Like that would be damn near impossible. But 2,000 people, that's doable. They can do that. What do you guys think? I know we have a few people in here currently. What are your thoughts? Do you think that blockchain is a viable solution for today's immigration system? If yes, why? If no, why not? I personally think it is. I think that blockchain is going to um, replace our current identification systems around the world. I think we're going to basically have a global world ID. That's where I think we're going to go. I think the initial step is going to be the governments individually start doing these things, but I think eventually after that is the world leaders are going to realize it's much simpler just to have one world identification system. Call it one world government, one world, whatever. But it just makes sense. Sharing this while we're live. I also believe I'm not necessarily an advocate for open borders, but I feel the current trajectory and what technology is going to do. I feel like open borders is going to be a reality in at least parts of the world. Or maybe not. I mean, I think the EU model is probably going to become, the whole free trade thing is going to become the standard for the world. But I think that would only happen with blockchain because there's no other there'll be no other system that could handle the volume of change of data. Like, because I'm not just talking about traveling. I'm talking about like all of our transactions, everything we do. When you go on the public transit, get on the bus or the train, all that is logged. We might all carry one card, like how we have our ID card. We got our ID card, and then there's that barcode that's on the back that they scan to check if you're 21. It could be that. That's your public key address. I think that it's very messed up what's going on at the border and at these camps. I think that a lot of it can and should have been dealt with in a much effective manner. And I just can't help. Anytime I see a problem, I always automatically think about how technology can solve that problem, and it just seems like it really could have been done much easier. And like I said, the whole immigration system, because every country is different. You got to go through all these customs. You got to do the same thing over and over and over and over. A lot of money is wasted on it because at the end of the day, most of it ends up being security theater anyway. They always want to talk about immigrants coming over, whether it's from South America, whether it's from Africa, whether it's from Asia, that a lot of them come over and bring drugs and et cetera, et cetera. And, they end up arresting X amount, deporting X amount, but somehow there still always ends up to be someone who slips in and does something crazy that they in turn use as propaganda to say, see, this is why we shouldn't allow immigrants in this country. And don't believe it. It is all propaganda. But my point being is, well, yeah, there's no possible way that you can effectively, you can't screen everybody, or can you? You can't screen everybody at human speed, but you could screen everybody at computer speed if, like I said, it was a worldwide blockchain identity system. Think about the implications outside of immigration for a second, and just in the focus of identity verification. Okay, you have a missing child, all right? And any given point in time, if somebody, instead of Amber Alerts or whatnot, we got cameras all on the highway that do everything from facial recognition to clocking our speed and giving us tickets without a cop having to be present. We already have that technology in place. So, you can scan IDs. You can scan, because like I said, the everything could be on the blockchain that's associated and tied to that user. So license plates, like I said, facial recognition, all that data, all that can be put on the blockchain. So somebody takes a kid, they got them in the car, they're driving on the highway. You have cameras that are doing facial detection or whatnot. It finds a person, it matches to the ID of the guy or woman who's driving the car, gets the blockchain data. Okay, it's Mr./Mrs. Smith. They live here. Police will be there waiting for them. That's just one example. A lot of people are afraid of blockchain because they do not understand what blockchain is. I've literally heard people, say that blockchain is what Revelations is describing in the Bible. Okay, think that blockchain is the Antichrist or the mark of the beast or something of that nature, and it's kind of funny. But no, blockchain is the future. It really is. And that's really all I have to say for tonight. I did have some articles that I wanted to read, but I think they'll be better suited for Tuesday, and I'm also pretty sure that these stories will be more developed by Tuesday. So I'm gonna hold off. I'm gonna hold off on that end. Sorry, I was yawning. I'm gonna hold off on that end, and if you haven't been to my website, once again, that is JeromeParker.com. I know I've been slacking on the blog articles. I will get on it. That is my goal for this month, is to have some updates ready. If you haven't followed me on social media, once again, that is MasterShake08 on most platforms, MastaShake08. You can also follow my Facebook page, facebook.com/Jerome Parker. And once again, this has been another Tech Talk. This is, what is this? July 5th, Thursday, July 5th, 2018. Thank you guys. I really appreciate everything. I appreciate the support. I appreciate you guys coming back and being on the live stream. I appreciate the call-ins. I appreciate the Twitter messages. I appreciate everything. You guys mean a lot. And a lot of you guys I've been seeing since I only had like 100 subscribers, and now I'm passing the 430 mark. I'm working towards 450. Inching ever so closer to getting those 1,000 subscribers. My view count has been insanely high, and I really appreciate that. You guys who are watching but not subscribing, I need y'all to subscribe. The view time is not matching up with the subscribers. I need you guys to subscribe. I appreciate that you're watching the video, but I need you to subscribe. But anyway, guys, I'm out. I'm gonna go watch some Luke Cage and do some coding. Maybe not in that order, maybe in that order. Anyway, guys, I'm out. Peace.